If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour. Talking the news with Noam Laden. All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now, Talking the News with Noam on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, October 17th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today, another beauty. High 65. The weekend looks pretty good. Saturday, mostly sunny, high 68. Sunday, sun and clouds, high 74. If you're walking out the door with us right now, 52 clear in East Hampton out on Long Island. It's 43 and clear in Wyckoff over in New Jersey. And it's 43 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Was there a clear winner in last night's big debate? John Bolton in hot water for mishandling classified documents. Some Long Island parents shocked to hear how pervy one teacher is. The latest scam on the streets involves a small piece of paper. And there's a new TikTok prank that cops don't find funny. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. Did you watch the big debate on NBC last night? What'd you make of the moderators who seem to have a hard time most of the night keeping control of this debate? The three major candidates, of course, Andrew Cuomo, Zohran Mamdani, Curtis Sliwa. It was Curtis in the middle. It was, if you were watching TV on the left, was Andrew Cuomo. On his right was Zohran Mamdani. Here's a little bit of what it sounded like last night.
They're looking for someone who will lead, someone who will say that they will have their back, someone who will actually fight for the people of this city. And that's who I am, because I'm not funded by the same donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term, which isn't something that Andrew Cuomo can say.
We heard a lot of that last night. We heard a lot of that from Zohran Mamdani on the campaign trail all along. The debate got testy between the front runners, the 33-year-old Mamdani taking shots at Cuomo, saying the definition of experience is not doing the same thing over and over again. Cuomo reminding voters that Mamdani doesn't have a lot of experience, just as an assembly member.
And this is not a job for someone who has no management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget. He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother.
So it was 2 hours long. The first half was on NBC. The second half was probably not as watched. It was on YouTube. Curtis Sliwa, says Cuomo's own party didn't want him, and now he has to run as an independent.
Yeah, you think you're the toughest guy alive. But let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
Why
and you have a difficult
Guard?
Understanding that what the term no is. You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump.
Why? Because I said to him, don't you dare, we don't need it, and he backed down, and he will again.
So that proves a good relationship.
Wait a second. The president is going to back down to you, Andrew Cuomo. I know you think you're the toughest guy alive, but let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
Why
and you have a difficult understanding that what the term no is. You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump.
I agree with Curtis.
You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump. Okay. And he can't stand up to Donald Trump, who knocked him right on his toes.
You negotiate with him. You don't fight with him, because only the people of New York City will lose.
It was a lot of that, talking over each other last night. Moderators tried to take control, not very successfully. And then there was just a fair amount, maybe too many of the stupid questions. So they asked him if they had ever smoked pot. I mean, some of the stuff, if you missed the second hour, I would suggest you didn't miss a whole lot. And I think they knew the audience would be more engaged for that first hour. So the bigger questions were asked during that first hour. But the second hour, one of the questions was asked was about parades.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parade.
Every parade has the right to exist in New York City.
Okay, gentlemen, New York City loves its parades, and the mayor is often front and center. You have all said that you want to be mayor for all New Yorkers. So will you march in all the parades that mayors have traditionally marched in, or are there any that you would boycott? Mr. Sliwa?
I think a mayor has a responsibility, whenever possible, to march in parades, to celebrate whatever that parade is performing as. I've been a Grand Marshal of the Pulaski Day Parade. I was proud to celebrate my Polish heritage. Are there any that you would
boycott, though? I just need to move this along.
Excuse me?
Would you boycott any of the city's parades?
No, I would not boycott any parades. It's the mayor's responsibility to be available to all racial, ethnic, and religious groups.
No, I wouldn't unless they discriminated.
Okay. Mr. Mamdani.
There are many parades that I would not be attending because I'd be focusing on the work of leading this city.
Which parades?
A number of them. I've already missed a number of those parades because I've been trying to speak to as many New Yorkers as possible.
Okay.
I don't have the list of all the parades I've missed.
Wow, that's a lot. The mayor should be going to all parades.
Let me ask you this. Are there any parades that don't exist that you think should?
Enough of that already with the parades. All right, so were New Yorkers watching last night? We asked beforehand. We said, you're going to sit down and watch this thing. How engaged are New Yorkers? Sometimes, you work in a bubble, like especially at a talk radio station where everybody's engaged. Our listeners are engaged, but are everyday New Yorkers engaged? Did they sit down to watch this thing last night?
It's tonight? Oh, then yeah, I guess.
Yes, I am. Because you hear so many things about the candidates like Zoran and Cuomo, and I just want to see them interact, and I want to hear from the horse's mouth, basically.
No. At this particular point, all three of these candidates, they're horrible.
Now, the interesting thing is we also asked people last night, what did you want to hear about? And what they wanted to hear about definitely did differ from what they actually talked about last night.
I don't know what I want to hear from them. There's so many things that need to be addressed. The Lincoln Tunnel, double tolling, and it's not fair.
None of that. I didn't hear anything about that last night.
There's a lot of different things.
The congestion pricing, subway costs.
Yeah, they didn't talk about congestion pricing. I don't remember if they did. Anyway, the second half, did they? I don't think so.
Well, a lot of the budget has to be fixed.
Politicians are politicians. They promise you things just to get in office.
Yeah, awfully interesting that what voters brought up last night in Times Square was not what the candidates talked about. Anyway, so who won the debate? Well, probably depends on who you want to win the entire election. But Politico last night said they thought Curtis Sliwa was clearly the winner. So good job done by Curtis Sliwa. 5:06, a federal mediator arriving here in the city today to arbitrate the strike threat by Broadway musicians.
If that strike takes place, most Broadway theaters and shows would go dark in about 2 weeks, since the majority of them are musicals. The union that represents Broadway's 1,600 musicians say they've been working under a lapsed contract and want fair pay and better health benefits. Actors Equity authorized a strike last month, which could have actors walking picket lines as well. The last strike on Broadway was by stagehands in 2007. That lasted 19 days. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time 5:09. A federal judge here in New York City ordering the feds to pay up after they yanked nearly $34 million in MTA anti-terror grants for the city's subways. State Attorney General Letitia James sued the Trump administration over it.
By law, these funds must be allocated based solely on risk. And there is no transit system in America that faces higher risk.
A Manhattan judge called the feds' cash grab a blatant violation of the law. Governor Hochul said at least 8 plots targeting the subways have been thwarted over the past 20 years because of post-9/11 federal anti-terror funding.
If you attack New Yorkers, when you put us in harm's way, we will fight back and we will win.
Governor Hochul had a message for GOP lawmakers trying to take away cash from the big city.
If you're serious about keeping America safe, prove it. Stop the hypocrisy. Stop trying to defund our police. Stop playing political games with people's lives.
Down to Washington, where former Trump National Security Advisor John Bolton indicted yesterday. President Trump reacting to the news from the Oval Office.
I didn't know that. You're telling me for the first time, but I think he's, a bad person. I think he's a bad guy. Yeah, he's a bad guy. It's too bad, but That's the way it goes.
Justice Department officials in Maryland brought the charges. Bolton's Maryland home, his D.C. office. They were searched by FBI agents over the summer, reportedly over the possible mishandling of classified documents. Bolton became a pretty strong critic of President Trump after he left the administration back in 2019.
No, I haven't. But I just think he's a bad person.
And White House correspondent attorney John Decker responding to these charges.
He now faces very serious charges. It's the United States government versus John Bolton, and that changes your life. President Trump found that out the hard way as well.
Yeah, Decker says that even if Bolton is eventually cleared of the charges, he'll have to spend a significant amount of cash defending himself.
It certainly means that it will cost Mr. Bolton a significant amount of money to defend himself from these charges.
Bolton also served as U.S. ambassador, by the way, to the United Nations under President Bush. 511, University of Southern California, University of Pennsylvania have become the latest schools to reject a deal proposed by the White House.
The administration wants policy changes in exchange for federal funding benefits. The deal would have required the universities to limit international students and otherwise align with the priorities of the Trump administration. In exchange, the schools would have received priority for federal funding. Brown University and MIT have also rejected the deal. I'm Jim Rope.
Let's go out to California. Governor Newsom responding to President Trump asserting that he's sending National Guard troops to San Francisco. Newsom says there's nothing to justify it.
There's no existing protest at a federal building. There's no operation that's being impeded. I guess it's just a training ground for the President of the United States. It is grossly illegal. It's immoral. It's rather delusional.
Earlier this week, the president claimed some government officials suggested he should consider sending troops to San Francisco. He mentioned that San Francisco was one of our great cities a decade ago or so, but perhaps he didn't realize in that moment that was when Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco.
Unmoored by reality and facts, seems listless. He seems, dare I say, in decline. Cognitively and, dare I say, forgive me, perhaps unfair, physically.
That's Newsom talking about the president.
That needs an intervention, needs some help, needs to be stabilized, dare I say.
Local leaders in San Francisco, you won't be surprised to hear, also oppose calls for federal troops into that city. The Senate has once again denied a spending measure that would have ended the government shutdown. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, he's blaming the Republicans for the shutdown.
Republicans in the Congress have chosen to function like lapdogs for the Trump administration.
It is the 10th time lawmakers have attempted to pass legislation that's Republican-backed and has already made it through the House. Meanwhile, the Senate held a procedural vote yesterday on a measure that's meant to fund the Department of War. Democrats, they blocked that.
The only conclusion that I can draw as to why we haven't even had a bipartisan discussion about reopening the government is because Donald Trump has ordered Republicans to go radio silent. That is irresponsible. As Democrats, as Leader Schumer continues to say, as we in the House continue to say, we'll sit down with anyone, anytime, any place.
Of course, Republicans are blaming the Democrats. Texas Senator Ted Cruz said the federal government shutdown is prolonged because his Democratic colleague, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, is being pulled by the progressive wing of the Democratic Party.
Back in March, when we had the last expiration of government funding, the Democrats actually worked in a bipartisan manner with Republicans, and we kept the government open. And Schumer almost lost his job.
Senator Cruz also says Democratic-led states could pass socialized health care immediately, but haven't done so because it costs so much.
Chuck Schumer is looking over his left shoulder, and he sees AOC breathing down his neck, getting ready to primary him. Why do none of these Democrats put socialized health care in their states? And the answer, California looked at it, and they realized it would bankrupt us. Schumer will be the inaugural member of the AOC for President team, and he's going to try to convince her, Alexandra, you're really far too important to think about something as lowly as Senate. You belong in the Oval Office.
Yeah, okay, so this thing's going to continue to go, the shutdown. As you can see, neither side coming even close to talking about how to resolve this thing. In a moment, we'll go from Congress to the White House and hear about the Ukrainian president who's going to show up there today and what he'll hear from the president. We'll do that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Eller.
Happy Friday. Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. I'll start here on the ice out in Toronto. Big triple header last night locally. The Rangers fell 2-1 to the Maple Leafs in overtime after an Austin Matthews goal 58 seconds into the extra time. Juuso Parssinen scored for New York. Igor Shesterkin stopped 22 shots. Parssinen tied it early in the third for New York's first goal in 170 minutes and 39 seconds. Up next for the Rangers, they'll be at Montreal tomorrow night. In Jersey, Timo Meier and Nico Hischier scored in the third period, and Jake Allen made 21 saves as the Devils won their home opener 3-1 over the Florida Panthers. Jack Hughes also scored for New Jersey, which won its third straight game after a season-opening loss at Carolina. Allen won for the first time this season. Devils were coming off Monday's 3-2 win at Columbus when starting netminder Jacob Markstrom was injured. Markstrom will miss a few weeks with a lower body injury. Up next for the Devils, they'll welcome in the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow night. In Elmont, Bo Horvat tied it short-handed in the second period, scored the go-ahead goal on the power play, and finished off the hat trick with an empty netter with about 8 seconds left to help the Islanders pick up their first win of the season by rallying to defeat the Edmonton Oilers 4-2. Matt Barzal had the Islanders' first goal and the primary assist on Horvat's game winner, while David Rittich stopped 30 of 32 shots he faced at the other end of the ice in his Islanders debut. Up next for the Isles, they'll visit the Senators in Ottawa tomorrow night. Head to Thursday night football. Week 7 in the NFL getting underway last night in Cincinnati. And the Bengals and Joe Flacco over Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. A couple of 40-somethings there at quarterback. And it's Flacco prevailing 33-31. How about that?
That's surprising.
These Thursday night games have been ass backward all season, I got to just tell you. I mean, it's like...
Well, except for last week. Last week made sense.
Moving on, Sunday in the early afternoon slate of games, 1 p.m., the Jets will welcome in the Carolina Panthers. Panthers at 3-3. Jets, of course, still winless at 0-6. Panthers are 1.5-point road favorites there. As for the Giants, they get the 4 p.m. slate, 4:05 p.m. kickoff to be exact, in Denver against the Broncos. The Giants at 2-4. Broncos at 4-2. Giants are 7.5-point underdogs on the road there. And a recap of our championship series in the MLB. Your final from Los Angeles. Dodgers over Brewers 3-1 in NLCS Game 3. LA has had a stranglehold on that series up to this point. They lead it 3-0. And out in Seattle, it was the Blue Jays over the Mariners again, 8-2 here in ALCS Game 4. That series is now tied at 2 games apiece.
They've come back.
They came back, yeah. The Game 5 is set for 6:08 p.m. tonight from Seattle. It'll be interesting to see if Toronto can win 3 straight there. That's your sports now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. Let's go down to the White House. President Trump going to welcome Ukrainian President Zelensky there today. It's part of his ongoing efforts to end the Russia-Ukraine war. But White House correspondent John Decker says nothing will change unless Russia's leader stops bombing civilians.
The problem is that Putin continues to attack civilian areas of Ukraine with impunity. And it happens on a nightly basis.
The president said he had a very productive phone call with Putin on Thursday, says their relationship with the Russian leader is better now, and the two are set to meet at some point in Budapest, Hungary, to hash out the war in Ukraine. More from John Decker.
I think that's been frustrating for the president. Maybe Putin has indicated that he'll curtail to a certain extent those attacks on civilian areas.
Now the president says he'll discuss the call he had with Putin with Zelensky when he shows up at the White House later today. The other peace deal the president has been working on is the Gaza ceasefire. It's holding for now, but questions remain about some of the elements of that 20-point plan. Correspondent Matt Bradley says many of the details still remain unresolved today.
President Trump has said that there are negotiations ongoing to determine how Gaza will be governed, how Hamas will be disarmed, even though Hamas has essentially refused to do so, and what will happen to aid in the Gaza Strip, another major issue.
Meanwhile, Hamas says it's returned all the dead hostages it can to Israel, saying it would take significant efforts to recover the remaining bodies from the destruction in Gaza. So far, the remains of just 9 hostages have been turned over. Israel's defense minister threatening to resume fighting if Hamas does not abide to the terms of the ceasefire deal.
This was something that was always going to happen because the style in which President Trump kind of negotiated this treaty was to move ahead with the ceasefire and with the releases of the prisoners and the hostages without focusing on the details. Well, now the details are becoming the devil. There have been isolated incidents of Israelis shooting Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and a lot of internecine fighting between Hamas and other militant groups inside Gaza in the wake of this war that had lasted for 2 years.
Meanwhile, the White House says President Trump needs to get more credit for ending the war in Gaza.
Where are all of the Free Palestine protesters? It's President Trump who freed Palestine, literally.
Spokesperson Caroline Levitt making those comments while reacting to a clip of Zohran Mamdani talking about the war in Gaza during that interview he gave to Fox News on Tuesday night. No, it was Wednesday night.
The Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals.
And Levitt says President Trump's the one that stopped the violence in Gaza, and so he says, and so does Caroline Levitt, that he deserves credit from that from the Palestinian side.
It was President Trump who brought home the last living hostage out of Gaza.
522, we're talking about the president. He unveiled this plan to make in vitro fertilization more accessible. President says his plan will allow Americans access to the most popular fertility drugs at reduced prices, saying Americans have been paying about 700 times what other countries do.
There's no deeper happiness and joy of raising children, and now millions of Americans struggling with infertility will have a new chance to share the greatest experience of them all.
The president says his administration will make IVF treatments less expensive for couples through their insurance policies.
We're here today to announce a historic victory for American women, mothers, and families. With the actions I will outline this afternoon will dramatically slash the cost of IVF. Today, we're also taking historic steps to vastly expand access to insurance coverage for fertility care, including IVF, something that, as you know, was not covered.
He made that announcement alongside the Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and other officials yesterday. Making IVF more accessible was one of the president's campaign promises out on the campaign trail. 523, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi's clash with a reporter on Capitol Hill has gone viral.
Shut up.
Oh, okay. That's the former Speaker of the House to a reporter after being asked about allegedly denying requests to send in the National Guard during the 2021 Capitol riot.
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
Okay, Pelosi went on to tell the reporter that she did not refuse the National Guard on that day. The reporter was from Lindell TV. That's an outlet that's been founded by Trump supporter and My Pillow guy, Mike Lindell. Vice President J.D. Vance dismissing a young Republican group chat that was filled with controversial text messages. He says it's just young boys telling edgy jokes. Correspondent Hallie Jackson has more on that.
Vance says he refuses to, in his words, join the pearl clutching, saying what's far worse are the violent text messages that have upended Virginia politics. The Democratic candidate for Attorney General there in 2022 suggesting one of the state's top Republicans should get, quote, 2 bullets to the head.
Earlier this week, Politico reported that some young Republican leaders sent thousands of messages containing racist, sexist, and violent language, including praise for Adolf Hitler. Yesterday, the vice president remarked that kids do stupid things and said telling an offensive joke should not ruin their lives and careers.
As for the young Republicans chat, the national board says anyone involved should resign, and the governor of Vermont is now calling on a state senator there to do just that. That lawmaker has publicly apologized, but stopped short of stepping down. The outlet obtaining more than 7 months' worth of Telegram messages in which they say members muse about using gas chambers against political opponents. I'm ready to watch people burn now, one person responds. Another describing rape as epic.
You sort of wonder how people should be so stupid to talk about that in a group chat. I mean, it's sort of amazing. But members of the group chat reportedly include political advisors, strategists here in New York, Kansas, Vermont, and Arizona. 526, they're going to do another one of these No King's Day, rallies, celebrations across the country this weekend to protest President Trump and his administration. Governor Newsom out in California, he's asking people to be peaceful in their protests out there.
Because there's one person that hopes you don't, that hopes there is disruption, there's some violence, and he will exploit that, and he will take advantage of that in a profound and consequential way.
Now, when they did the rallies here in New York, and I'm blanking on exactly when they were, the original No Kings Day, they had a pretty decent turnout. The organizers hoping they can do that again for this time around.
And those enduring principles that are at stake. No kings. A declaration of independence against the tyranny. What the founding fathers were all about. Co-equal branches of government, popular sovereignty, the rule of law, fundamental values that have endured for 249 years.
You know, those protests take place across country this weekend.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, October 17th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunshine today. Beautiful day on the way. High 65. The weekend looks great as well. Saturday, mostly sunny, high 68. Sunday, sun and clouds, high 74. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 52 clear in East Hampton, out on Long Island. It's 43 unclear in Wyckoff over in New Jersey. And it's 42 unclear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:39. Mayoral hopeful Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa sparring with each other in I would say a fiery first debate last night, trading blows over inexperience, past scandals. They talked about Israel, and they talked about standing up to President Trump.
Because I said to him, don't you dare, we don't need it, and he backed down, and he will again.
So that proves a good relationship.
Wait a second. The president is going to back down to you, Andrew Cuomo. I know you think you're the toughest guy alive, but let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
The debate, first 30 minutes, marked by this bitter back and forth between Mamdani and Cuomo. They were asked about a whole bunch of different things. Let's see. Talking about, does Mamdani support Hamas in Israel?
To interrupt, I covered your speech in an Upper West Side synagogue where you said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. There is no difference. And you were talking about Mr. Mamdani. Is that not an allegation?
No, I make that statement all the time. I wasn't referring to Mamdani.
Okay. All right. Mr. Mamdani, a brief response, and then we have to move on.
I have denounced Hamas again and again, and it will never be enough for Andrew Cuomo, because what he is willing to say, even though not on this stage, is to call me, the first Muslim on the precipice of leading this city, a terrorist sympathizer, is to send mailers that artificially lengthen my beard, to say to New Yorkers that they should be fearful. What I will do is deliver for all.
Yeah, Mamdani getting some shots in there. There was one point where the moderators asked, who would endorse Governor Hochul's re-election campaign next year? They asked for the candidates to raise their hands. Now, you wouldn't expect Curtis Sliwa to raise his hand because he's a Republican, but of course Andrew Cuomo, a former Democrat, I guess still is, but now an independent, and Zohran Mamdani, of course, was endorsed by Governor Hochul.
A show of hands, who supports Kathy Hochul for re-election?
It's a decision that should be made after this general election.
So no decision. Mr. Cuomo, you handpicked her as your lieutenant governor. No thought.
You have to know who's running.
Ouch.
Yeah. Okay, so...
And I would add that I do think that Kathy Hochul, our governor, has been doing a good job in not only
serving and delivering,
not only delivering for New Yorkers, but also standing up to Donald Trump.
Do you support her for re-election?
Then endorse her.
I'm focusing on November.
Why don't you endorse her?
And I appreciate her support, and I appreciate her work.
I mean, nobody wanted to endorse her. Okay, and then there was just, as there are at these debates, where they just ask stupid questions. I don't know why they bother. You have such little time with these candidates, but one of the questions they asked was, who on the stage has smoked pot?
Have you ever purchased anything in a cannabis shop? And if so, what did you buy, Mr. Mamdani?
I have. I have purchased marijuana at a legal cannabis shop.
Okay. Mr. Cuomo?
No.
Mr. Sliwa?
When I was shot 5 times, I've had Crohn's disease, I did use medical marijuana, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why that makes us any wiser. All right, 5:42. Oh, by the way, Politico gave the win in last night's debate to Curtis Sliwa. They said he did the best job last night. 5:42. This is one of the more disturbing attacks that I've seen lately, and it's somebody who should not have been out from behind bars. A man back under arrest this morning for randomly attacking two women and a teenager. This was on Wednesday morning. His name is Jeremiah White, 23 years old, arrested on multiple charges of assault after the women were punched or hit with metal pipes. I mean, you cannot believe the damage he did to this 46-year-old woman. I mean, your heart just breaks for her. Her name is Virginia Alvarez. She's on her way to work. It's about 5:30 on the morning at 176th Street and University Avenue when this creep, this animal, just comes over out of nowhere. She doesn't know him. It's a random attack and starts hitting her over and over again with a metal pipe.
He goes, "You killed my mother," and he punched me right in the face.
Oh, right. So I should point out, let me describe this well, that he was mumbling about stuff that made no sense to her. So here she describes what took place.
He goes, "You killed my mother," and he punched me right in the face. And I fell on the floor, and he just kept punching and punching. You killed my mother, and laughing when he was saying that. And I told him to stop hitting me, to please stop beating me, stop it, stop it, it's not me, stop.
This attack continued until a driver saw it and pulled over to help her. Now, she was taken to the hospital. She's got, I can't tell you how terrible she looks. 2 black eyes, just bumps everywhere, lacerations on her face, broken fingers from this creep. And again, I'll tell you in a moment why he should have never been back on the street. But his crime spree did not end there. Police say he then headed to another neighborhood where he hit a 15-year-old girl in the back of the head with a metal pipe. That was 2 hours later. She was taken to the hospital in stable condition. Then 10 a.m. the next day, she hit a 54-year-old woman in the face on Franklin Avenue. She refused medical attention, but you can imagine what all these women are going through. Completely random attacks. And this woman, Alvarez, she says, she takes care of other people for a living. She's a certified nursing aide. And that job doesn't pay a whole lot of money. And now she can't do it because 2 arms are in a cast. She's got bruises underneath her eyes.
They got to stay strong and be positive. That if he has families, to make sure that that family is got their back. Because my family got my back.
Now, this guy was under arrest for 4 prior arrests for all kinds of other disturbing attacks, including ones that had happened recently. But he was back out on the streets somehow due to the lax laws here to attack these women up in the Bronx. Just awful. All right, in a moment, we're going to tell you about how some parents at one school in Long Island are shocked by one teacher's actions. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Allen.
Thank you, Noam Layden. We'll start on the ice here in Toronto. Rangers fell 2-1 to the Maple Leafs in overtime after an Austin Matthews goal, 58 seconds into the extra time. Juuso Parssinen scored for New York. Igor Shesterkin stopped 22 shots. Parssinen tied it early in the third period for New York's first goal in 170 minutes and 39 seconds. Up next for the Rangers, they'll be at Montreal tomorrow night. In Jersey, Timo Meier and Nico Hischier scored in the third period, and Jake Allen made 21 saves as the Devils won their home opener 3-1 over the Florida Panthers. Jack Hughes also scored for New Jersey, which won its 3rd straight game after a season-opening loss at Carolina. Allen won for the first time this season. Devils were coming off Monday's 3-2 win at Columbus when starting netminder Jacob Markstrom was injured. Markstrom will miss a few weeks with a lower body injury. Up next for the Devils, they'll welcome in the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow night. In Elmont, Bo Horvat tied it shorthanded in the second period, scored the go-ahead goal on the power play, and finished off the hat trick with an empty netter with 8 seconds left to help the Islanders pick up their first win of the season by rallying to defeat the Edmonton Oilers 4-2. Matt Barzal had the Islanders' first goal and the primary assist on Horvat's game winner, while David Rittich stopped 30 of 32 shots he faced at the other end of the ice in his Islanders debut. Up next for the Isles, they'll visit the Senators in Ottawa tomorrow night. To the Gridiron, your final from Cincinnati. Thursday Night Football kicking off Week 7 in the NFL was the Bengals over the Steelers 33-31. Joe Flacco over Aaron Rodgers in that. high-scoring contest. And Sunday at 1 p.m., the 0-6 Jets will vie for their first win of the season against the 3-3 Panthers. The Jets are 1.5-point home underdogs there. As for the Giants, they're 2-4, and they'll be in Denver against the 4-2 Broncos for a 4:05 p.m. kickoff come Sunday afternoon. Giants are 7.5-point road underdogs in that contest. And to the Diamond here in Los Angeles, the Dodgers beat the Brewers 3-1 in NLCS Game 3. LA now leads that series 3-0 on the brink of punching another ticket to the World Series for the second straight year. And out in Seattle, the Blue Jays over the Mariners 8-2 in ALCS Game 4. That series is now knotted at 2 games apiece. Game 5 is set for 6:08 p.m. tonight from Seattle. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:49. Some really disturbing allegations against a teacher on Long Island who suspended from his job now after he was allegedly caught on camera admitting to sexting a 13-year-old girl. The video, taken by a group of vigilantes who are on this mission to catch child predators, it's become a very popular thing on TikTok and YouTube, where they catch people in chat rooms and then go up to them in person and expose them. Mike Villani, who's with this watchdog group that's called Predator Approachers Long Island, got this teacher on tape admitting to the fact that he had been texting with this 13-year-old girl. Here's the video that they released on YouTube.
I know that it was wrong. I know that I messed up. That is 100% on me. I love the job that I have because I love working with kids, genuinely love working with kids.
Now, that's the teacher talking to this group. Suffolk County Police confirm now there's a criminal investigation in the Shoreham-Wading School District, and the teacher's been removed from the classroom, will not be permitted on school grounds pending the outcome of the investigation. This predators group explained that he posed as an underage girl, and the teacher approached him in a chat room.
I said, hey, I'm a 13-year-old girl. And the conversation persisted. He got very flirty and even sexual. Yeah, it was shocking, given his position in society.
Yeah, this teacher apparently exchanged over 100 messages between just Monday and Wednesday of this week, and that's when they went after the teacher and got him on tape admitting to the fact that he was the one that was communicating with someone who he thought was 13 years old. Parents with kids at this school just shocked.
I'm sick to my stomach. It's disgusting. Even just talking about the body types of an 8-year-old child is so disturbing. She had questions and she ended up in the psychologist's office.
Yeah, and the school district now providing counseling to some of those kids. 551, the man who police say raped 5 women during an early 1990 Queens spree, arrested in Georgia. It's 57-year-old Michael Benjamin. They brought him back to the city yesterday morning for arraignment in Queens. He says they had the wrong guy.
We do this! We do none of this!
You didn't do it? What about the 12 women?
What witness?
What about the fingerprints?
What fingerprints? I didn't do this! Do this, yo! Don't kill my mom and kill him. I didn't do this!
After Benjamin's DNA retested last year with technology that was not previously available, it linked him to the attacks. He was arrested in August by the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office in Georgia, charged with rape, sodomy, sex assault, all going back to these attacks that took place between 1995 and 1997. He allegedly would enter his victims' homes through a window, tied their hands up, held weapons to their necks, stole money, other valuables. After the rapes, prosecutors say each of the victims consented to a rape kit at the time of the attack. And DNA from a discarded cup that Benjamin used matched the DNA that was retrieved from these victims. Here's his lawyer who says his client is innocent.
My client vigorously, vehemently, and vociferously denies the allegations. I think that most of these charges are probably outside the statute of limitations before we even get into the merits of the case.
Benjamin facing up to 25 years in prison if he's convicted. 553. This is a weird story out of the Bronx that we couldn't get a whole lot of confirmation from the police, but what's happening is these 2 men and 2 women are suspected of stealing thousands of dollars from women in the Bronx. Now, the first incident happened September 6th. It involved 2 people approaching the 70-year-old woman in the Grand Concourse. They asked her for directions. Now, here's the part that is strange. They hand her a piece of paper that has some unknown substance on it. My guess is, and I don't have any confirmation of this, is that that substance, whatever it was, put this woman into some sort of stupor. So she then handed over thousands of dollars, jewelry that was worth thousands of dollars. And they did the same thing to another woman a couple days later. There's video of this woman at a nearby Chase Bank. She's escorted also by these people, same four people, that handed her this piece of paper. She lost consciousness, was taken to the hospital, expected to be okay. But now these women, out of money and cash and jewels from these weirdos that are handing them some sort of piece of paper with it, something that puts them in, I don't know for sure, but it seems to put them in some sort of stupor.
That's not good at all. That wouldn't make me feel good, because I'm a woman also. You got to be careful. You got to walk in tax. You can't just walk by yourself.
Yeah, all right. So don't take pieces of paper from anybody, for sure, if you're up in the Bronx. From the Bronx, let's go up to White Plains. That parking garage that collapsed on Wednesday morning, still not open. Approximately 1,200 square foot concrete section of the 5th floor parking deck collapsed onto the 4th floor parking deck. About 15 cars, maybe more, were crushed, but anybody who had their car in there can't get to it. And so for a lot of people, that's how you get to and from work each day, get errands done, and so it's been kind of a pain not having their car.
My car, I need it. I don't know, understand. Yeah. Today is my car. You see tomorrow what happened.
The plan is hopefully to not have to Uber home and to get the car soon, but like I said, obviously we would like to get the cars quickly, but of course if it's not safe, it's not safe.
No, so officials say they're working to get to the cars and remove them safely, but of course you don't want to put any workers at risk by doing so, so there's no timetable for when that may happen, though we did get a press release that suggested some of the cars may be removed today, that if they can get to them, will be removed today as they try to figure out why this garage, or at least a portion of it, collapsed. There was one story reported, I think it was News 12, that said that there had not been an inspection of this garage in quite a long time. Last night, parents confronting school leaders at Manalapan High School. We told you the story yesterday that some 9th grade girls were dressing up as Holocaust victims and Hitler for Halloween. So parents wanted some answers about what kind of discipline these students might receive.
They should dress up as shoeless children from the Holocaust, and one of the other girls said that she wants to fill one of the other girls' vapes with the smoke from the gas chamber. And they said they should kill us all.
My grandfather is actually the sibling of murdered shoeless Holocaust children.
Yeah, dozens packing the school board meeting asking for answers last night.
Zero tolerance, expel the children, send them to an alternative school.
I'm the grandchild of Holocaust survivors. The statistics show that a year long of curriculum really does have an impact.
Yeah, now the school system says so far they're not going to release what kind of punishment these students will receive for who they are because they're so young. And this troubling trend that has begun on social media involves teenagers using AI, artificial intelligence, to create images of strangers inside their homes, and then they text that to their parents as a prank. So these parents are getting pictures and texts from their kids that show like a homeless guy sitting next to them on the couch. So you can imagine, as a parent, you freak out and you call the police. Here's what it sounded like this week in Yonkers when this parent got a picture of a homeless person sitting next to their kid on the couch. It was all AI. It wasn't real, but the parent didn't know that.
Could you send the car over to Cook Avenue? Her daughter sent her a picture of with a homeless guy inside the house, and she's not answering the phone now.
Start over to Cook Avenue. That there's a issue where a teenager let some mail in the house, and now the family can't get a hold of her.
So what they do is the part of this that makes it so big is it's a TikTok trend. So you videotape this picture, you videotape your parents' reaction over the phone, but a lot of these kids didn't realize the police would show up at their house, and that's what's been happening this week.
We're using AI to kind of help solve crime. We're in this new realm here where we're trying to battle AI-generated crime. The officers were responding there under the assumption that it was an intruder in the home. So that's a very serious incident. Parents are having talks with their children, make sure they're using AI safely and responsibly.
Oh, it's so great to be a kid, isn't it? 5:57, traffic, transit on the 7th. Here's Jill Nolan.
I don't remember. Heading out there this morning.
Can you imagine?
Oh, my God.
I mean, how great. I mean, it's pretty inventive. I got to say that.
If I did that when I was 14, I wouldn't have seen 15. I'll tell you that.
Me neither, yeah.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.